Hello, what's up? Welcome to yet another video. So to get the best budget smartphone under $300 doesn't mean you have to compromise on what you want. You can get a lot of phones for a modest price these days, and to prove it, I've rounded up a list of the best. To see the most up-to-date prices and find out more information about these best smartphones under $300, you can check out the links in the description below. Number 1, we have the Motorola, which has been a leading name in mid-range options for years, and that holds true with its excellent Moto G Power of 2020. When Motorola announced the new G series of phones, I was excited for a Moto G Power review because if you've gone out to buy a mid-range Android phone at some point within the past few years, chances are you either bought or came across a Moto G device. Following the immense popularity of the first Moto G in 2013, Motorola has launched a new one every single year, with 2019 seeing the launch of the Moto G7, G7 Power and G7 Play. Moto G Power from 2020 is a darn good smartphone, and because of its very competitive pricing is still one of the best cheap Android phones, even beating on the 2021 Moto G Power. Under the hood, the Moto G Power is packing Qualcomm's Snapdragon 665 chipset. It's a 64-bit octa-core processor and uses the Adreno 610 GPU, which is a noticeable step up from the Adreno 506 that's been in a Moto G phone since 2017's Moto G5. Yeah, seriously. For day-to-day tasks, the Moto G Power handles apps like Twitter, Gmail, YouTube, Spotify, and others without any problems. The 4GB of RAM isn't the best of multitasking, but in general, the phone opens apps on command, powers them just fine, and doesn't leave you waiting too long to do what you want it to. Animations sometimes get hung up when multitasking or moving too fast in an app, but it's nothing that completely tarnishes the user experience. More just a minor annoyance. Even better, you can keep playing your games and running your apps without having to ever stress out over your battery life. Simply put, the Moto G Power is an endurance beast. There's a 5000 mAh battery cramped inside the G Power, which certainly plays a role in the phone's weightiness, 199 grams to be exact. Motorola advertises up to 3 days of use on a single charge, and thankfully I found that claim to be very accurate. Moving on, making to the second spot, we have the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, which brings amazing value to the table for the money. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro is one of the best phone bargains of the last 12 months. It gets so close to the day-to-day experience of a $1,000 phone. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro has a mix of high-end and low-end design traits. For example, you get a headphone jack like cheap phones, but the Redmi Note 10 Pro's back is lightly curved Gorilla Glass, not the plastic many far more expensive phones use today. The Redmi Note 10 Pro isn't too thick at 8.1mm, and its sub 200 gram weight, 193 grams, is not distractingly high. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro screen is also exemplary. It's a large 6.67-inch 1080 to 24,000 OLED display with a 120Hz panel. It offers good sharpness, excellent contrast, deep color, and enough space to come across as a display made for video and gaming. The OLED panel is also a great showcase for the high refresh rate. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro also has exactly the sort of chipset we'd hope for in a phone of this class. It's the Snapdragon 632G, a mid-range processor with some optimizations for gaming, which boils down to a higher clock graphics section. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro has a 5020 mAh battery, which seems a fairly high capacity for an affordable phone this slim. You can expect 35 to 45% charge left by midnight after a moderate days of use. To conclude, I would say that for the price, it's hard to find a better phone. And now on the third spot, we have OnePlus, making a splash in the budget smartphone market with the OnePlus Nord N100. The N100 is OnePlus's least expensive smartphone to date, and it debuted with plenty of hits and only a few misses. Its mediocre cameras and plastically built fail to impress, but those concessions are common at this price point. The qualities that matter most for day in, day out use are display, performance, and battery life, and there the N100 does not compromise. Among phones in the sub $200 price range, this one is a standout. A Qualcomm Snapdragon 460 chipset and 4GB of RAM power the N100. There's a 64GB of onboard storage with about 46GB available out of the box. A microSD slot makes it easier to add additional storage. On the hardware front, the N100 has a clear advantage over the Moto G Play. Both have the same Snapdragon 460 processor, but the Motorola phone only has 3GB of RAM and half the storage space. Performance is solid for the price. The N100 handles basic tasks such as web browsing and streaming Netflix with ease. There's an ever so slight lag when opening apps or using the keyboard, but it's not at all bothersome. On the fourth spot, Motorola impressing us again with the Moto G Stylus 2021. Calling the 2021 Motorola Moto G Stylus the best budget stylus phone feels a bit like a backhanded compliment. There's more or less just one other contender for that title, the LG Stylus 6, which is too underpowered to recommend. But the G Stylus doesn't just win by default, it's actually a well-rounded and capable phone for under $300. It offers a big 6.8-inch 1080p screen, a generous 128GB of built-in storage, and a Snapdragon 678 processor with 4GB of RAM. Other highlights include a 48-megapixel main camera accompanied by ultra-wide and macro rear cameras, a 4000 mAh battery, a water-repellent design, and a fingerprint sensor embedded in the recessed power button. It's a well-rounded set of features for a budget device, even without considering the G Stylus's headline feature. For all you Android gamers or power users on a budget, on the fifth spot we have the Poco X3 Pro. The Xiaomi Poco X3 Pro is essentially an updated version of 2020's excellent Poco X3 NFC. It's almost exactly the same as that phone, in fact, but slightly rebalances its specs to include an even more powerful processor and a few other upgrades, while compromising a touch on the camera side. The X3 NFC was our favorite budget phone of 2020, and the Pro is a better phone in enough areas to make it an easy recommendation too. It might be more polarizing than its predecessor though, doubling down on that phone's strengths without improving on its weaknesses. More than ever, this is a phone about pure power, delivering the best performance you could ask for at the price, but the rivals are often slimmer, lighter, and take better photos. The X3 Pro was announced alongside its chipset, which debuted here, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 860. This is a souped-up version of the Snapdragon 855, which is the chipset that powered most of the biggest flagship phones in 2019. Poco pairs the Snapdragon 860 with the choice between 6GB or 8GB of RAM and 128GB or 256GB of storage, though there's also a microSD slot to expand that further. Storage aside, I'd recommend the RAM boost if you can afford it. And now if you want the 5G phone for just under $300, then the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G would be a great pick. If you're in the market for an inexpensive Android phone with 5G, Samsung has your back with the Galaxy A32 5G. Excellent battery life, solid performance, and years of promised Android upgrades and security updates mean that this inexpensive phone should keep you happy for a long time. A low-resolution display aside, there's very little to dislike about the Galaxy A32 5G. It's an excellent value and a winner of our editor's choice award for budget-friendly 5G phones. The Galaxy A32 5G is powered by a MediaTek Dimensity 720 5G chipset along with a 4GB of RAM. There's 64GB of storage with about 46GB available out of the box. If that's not enough, you can add up to an additional terabyte of external storage with a microSD card. Overall performance is good, apps open quickly, and there's almost zero lag with screen transitions. Multitasking doesn't slow the phone down either. The initial boot up process takes a bit longer than it does on the Nord N200 5G, but the difference is hard to notice unless you're paying close attention. If you're a casual gamer who plays Candy Crush on your morning commute, the Galaxy A32 5G will be just fine. Hardcore gamers, however, will find the phone to be a poor fit. Alright guys, that's it for me on this video. Thank you so much for watching by the end. If this video was helpful at all to buy a new smartphone under $300, then leave a like down below on the video. Also, if you have any questions about these products we just mentioned on the video, then drop a comment down below on the comment sections. Alright guys, once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.